These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Saturday, November 11th, around noontime. I just woke up because I'm a loser. No, I stayed up super late last night, and so I woke up late, and Sam was up. So we are recording the majority of this podcast before the Celtics Raptors game, and we are going to obviously record our reaction to the Celtics Raptors game after it happens later tonight. I'll be at the Garden for that game. Sam will be on a flight, and Sam's Wi-Fi is just kicking off the show with
20
a
seconds.
Freeze.
20. He really asked for it to fucking work. 20 seconds
to start
into the show, it freezes.
But we are here. Sam, so I when you were frozen, I was telling them how I just woke up and I laughed and I made a joke. And
I wasn't there to
reinforce
it.
Right. I was waking up, like, you know how you like when you're first waking up, you're like groggy and stuff. So I was like dreaming, and in my dream, I got a text from you that said, "Oh, can we go a little later?" And in my head, I'm like, "Oh, I can sleep in." And then I woke up and I didn't have the text.
No, it was actually the opposite of what the text said. It was like, "Hey, I'm ready whenever you are."
I was like hallucinating. I was like, "Oh, okay," and I went back to sleep. But in reality, I was just dreaming, and I was always asleep. But
it was like a string. I was like, "Okay." I finished my run. This was like 9:30. I'm ready whenever. Get home I go and get like a little like breakfast coffee, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna make the sheet." Nothing.
It was a what's it called? It was a hallucination. It was a it was a roller coaster of emotions for me. But before we get into the show, when we throw it over to our future selves,
or just Jack,
let's do what's popping. It might just be me. Sam's gonna be on a flight. We'll see what's happening.
We're gonna try. You might see some very innovative stuff in the next couple minutes. We'll see.
We'll see. But let's check in with Incognito again for the third podcast in a row. Comment what's poppin' if you would like to be entered to win a $10 Incognito gift card. Sam has it there. I'm gonna be getting mine soon. But if you'd like a chance to win a $10 gift card to Incognito, please comment on the podcast. What's poppin'? If you already comment, just throw what's poppin' at the start of it, and you will be automatically entered to win and have your name on this gorgeous wheel that we have. That gives you some confetti, all the good stuff. But shall we get into this? Let's see who wins Incognito this time. Who gets $10? We're going. We're spinning.
Nate Boss
takes the cake. Nate, I'll be shooting you an email after we finish recording here to get your contact information and put you in touch with our guy from Incognito so you can get a $10 gift card and get yourself some popcorn. Great popcorn. We love Incognito. So if you would like to be entered, again, comment on the YouTube or email us at hbtcpod@gmail.com. What's poppin' with the rest of your comment, and you'll be automatically entered. So thank you to everyone who's submitted a What's Poppin' comment this time.
Of flavors. I got gingerbread man here. I just had some of the cheesy garlic bread, which is one of the sneaky surprise ones. I'd only had like the candy ones. What is this? Dill pickle. This was one of the ones you had ordered. Yeah.
Good.
And I have a ton more over here. So
yeah,
I'm set. This will all be sitting here for a while, but because I will be here.
But, W though. Yeah. Huge. So comment what's poppin'. Get yourself entered so you can win some popcorn like Mr. Nate Boss here. But without further ado, we're going to throw it over to our future selves to discuss the Celtics Raptors game tonight. All right. Thank you to our past selves for throwing it over to me and not Sam. So let me fix that real quick. Thank you, Cam, for filling in for Sam. I'll cross out the Sam on the screen. This is why it took me an extra 5 minutes to start recording because I had to make that overlay. But we are here. Sam is currently on a flight. And so instead of Sam, you get me and Cam here to recap the Celtics Raptors game, which was a massive win. I'll put the box score on the screen for y'all. Hopefully it doesn't mess up my overlay. I have a feeling it might, but Cam just gets a little extra promo.
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Works for me. We are in the same room. I can see Cam right over there. So if you hear any audio, that's what you know what it is. But I think it sounds fine on my end. So hopefully it sounds fine on your end too. But the Celtics took down the Raptors 117-94, and they kind of pulled their pants down in the second half. It wasn't really close for a while there. Jayson Tatum 27 points, Jaylen Brown 29 points, Porzingis 21, Hauser 12, and then it was kind of just whatever offense the Raptors could find. Which, spoiler alert, not much was the answer to that question. So Huge win for the Celtics. I was talking to Justin Turpin, WEI. He was telling me, yeah, out of their 7 wins, 5 have been by double digits, which is a pretty good percentage if you ask me. But yeah, Cam, just thoughts on the pretty dominant win here for the Celtics.
You want me to start with the good news or the bad news?
Ooh, give me the good news first, and then we'll end with the bad news because I have a feeling it could be funny. So hit me with the good news first.
No, the bad news isn't funny. The bad news is turnovers.
Oh.
But the good news is, and this is something you, me, and Bobby Kravitsky of SI talked about all game long, was Kristaps Porzingis changes everything for the Celtics, and that was like so on display. It's worth noting that the Raptors aren't a very good basketball team, or at least they don't have the personnel to compete with a very good basketball team. And so Jakob Poeltl got taken out of the game pretty early, and then they just like weren't big enough to really compete with the Celtics, especially with Porzingis playing as well as he did. I mean, let's see. Tatum had 27, Jaylen had 29, and then Porzingis had 21. Other than that, I mean, it wasn't like 117 is a lot, but not a lot. So it wasn't a huge offensive performance from Boston, but when it was clicking, it was just relentless. I think they went on like a 21-6 run or something to open the third. And so in the second half, they were clearly the better team. I mean, I guess I was thinking about this today. Like they've been beating bad teams, and that is different than last season. It's a sign of growth. It's a sign of maturity. It's what you're supposed to do. They don't have a signature win. They don't have a win that there's no feathers in their cap yet, right? So I think ultimately this game probably tells us more about the limitations of the Raptors than it does about Boston's potential. But in that third quarter, particularly when Porzingis and Jrue and Jaylen Brown were moving and shaking, like the model for how good this offense could be was right there. That's the good news anyways.
The Raptors were impressively bad in this one. It was honestly kind of 2 straight games of just teams that don't really know how to play offense, especially with Cam Thomas out for the Nets. Like you got Scotty Barnes running points. Scotty Barnes been good this year. Like he wasn't particularly great in this one. He made some threes, which you didn't expect him to. I say he made some threes. He was 2 of 9, but he was there and he's been having a good season. He
played the game.
he did in fact show up. But yeah, nobody the Raptors put on the floor could handle what the Celtics were bringing offensively, and then defensively, the Celtics were just better as well. Like the Raptors got some open looks, but they couldn't make them because they're not very good. Dennis Schroeder got to the rim for a couple tough finishes, but it just wasn't close. And as much as you want to see the Celtics, identity become defense, which again, the Raptors shot 38 and 27, so it was pretty good defensive night. Like there was just no answer for Kristaps Porzingis on the Raptors. Like Jakob Poeltl was, out in space and he was screwed. Precious Achiuwa was like the Raptors bad, couldn't do anything on defense. Nobody they threw at Kristaps could solve the problem that is KP. Yeah, no, and the best part about Kristaps is, yes, he's going to score. He's 21 points, 9 of 14 shooting, 3 of 7 from the field. Like that's great efficiency. He was awesome. But the way his presence on the court opens the game up for Tatum and Brown to work, like it was asked about a lot in like post-game press conferences. The 2-man game between Kristaps and JB is like next level. And that's not something you saw from JB like last year or 2 years ago. Like he's never been a good playmaker, but working with Kristaps Porzingis in the pick and roll, he becomes that sort of game manager that everyone wants him to be because he has such an elite offensive weapon. And this isn't to say he's solving the turnover problems or the playmaking problems, because I still don't think he'll ever be elite at that or even get to Jayson Tatum's level, how he's improved. But having a guy like KP who opens up so much is really unlocking that part of Jaylen Brown's game. I mean, Kristaps said it after the game. He said, we're going to get even better. And he was like laughing. He's like, trust me, you're going to be better. So it's just like to see how much he unlocks for the Jays. He like, yes, Kristaps as an individual, as a scorer is awesome, but the way he opens up the entire offense for the Celtics is like anything beyond I could have imagined. Then I was saying this summer, I was like, yeah, he's going to change the way they play offense, but like he changes the way they play offense, and it's awesome. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah, we're really getting like that Washington Wizards version of Kristaps Porzingis, which is instrumental. I mean, I've talked to you about how I think the Jays were too young, and now they're just stepping into their prime. Porzingis is only like 27 or 28, so a similar thing. Like the player that he was when he first entered the league is a shadow of who he can be right now if he stays healthy. Yeah, Jaylen only had 2 assists tonight, but that's a misleading number. There was one play in particular that you and I both were looking at where Brown, he didn't really set a screen. It was like half of a screen, but he kind of motioned for Porzingis to drift from the post out to the 3-point line, and then I think Jrue ended up passing it to him. Jrue and Kristaps are also opening up a pretty serious 2-man game, but yeah, the way he fits in the offense is really spectacular. I mean, another theme early on this year has been the use of the post, and just in some ways, you want the Celtics to have a post game because it gives them a chance. Is this the play that we're talking about? Wow.
I got it locked. And loaded, baby. I'm ready.
Yeah, and then that finger point. Jeez, Jack, you're so good at this stuff. I could barely copy and paste text tonight. And Jack,
got my notebook. I got the timestamps locked up, baby. Don't worry about it.
Smart. Speaking of resources, so Jack and I, this is tangential to the game, but the game didn't matter. We're sitting in the room that they do coaches' press conferences in, and I have the press sheet that they give the players and the coach after. And I can't believe how user unfriendly this is. I mean, I've seen this before, but I've never really thought about using it live. So I've been trying to pull numbers out of it. Like if I had dyslexia or something, I couldn't use this at all. This is ridiculous. Yeah. So what the Celtics can do with the post is, I think, really important. Not just like, okay, they're not hitting their threes and they need another look. Joe Mazzulla, please don't yell at me. But more importantly, proactively, they can create this lack of rhythm on offense. They can go to the post because Horford can post up, Tatum can post up, Porzingis can post up. Then they can shoot 3 threes. Then someone's going to cut. I mean, it just gives a new layer of intrigue to their offense in a really fantastic way. And Porzingis is a big part of that. To say nothing of Porzingis is a great cutter. I don't know. Man, it's November. Like I'm worried about his long-term health. I'm worried about his defense wasn't very good against Pirtle, but his offense was better, and that's how Pirtle kind of got out of the game. There are a few times where Pirtle kind of posted him, and that's something to keep an eye on. Is like if a bigger big or a strong big wants to, they can kind of handle Porzingis on an island. That looks got to change, I think. But first of all, that's not my bad news yet. My bad news is still the turnovers. But if you're looking for things to nitpick, that was still on display. I have more good news, and then we can talk about the turnovers or not. By my account, 3rd straight very good Sam Hauser game. Not like should he be starting good, but like this is a really solid, important wing off the bench who is sneaky good on defense, and his offense is finally consistent.
I was talking about this with Bobby Krivitsky before the game, and I turned to him. I just go, Sam Hauser starts making his shots. It's great, but like in general, he's just such a great bench wing. Like at the contract he's at, making like a minimum deal right now. He is not only shooting 40% from 3 on high volume, which is so important, but he's also comfortable driving closeouts, which, as much as I love Grant Williams, wasn't the best at last year. He's a good defender in the sense that teams can attack him and he won't just be a walking 2 points for the opposing team. Like he can stand up, and he's been getting a lot of blocks this year too. I saw a tweet about it. I forget who it was, but like he's blocking shots. And then as a connector, as a passer, like he hasn't shown a lot during the season because that's not his role, but in the preseason he was driving closeouts and making reads, making real passes that impacted the game. Like he is a good all-around player, and if his shot continues to be what it is, like obviously the slump he was in has sort of taken over people's minds, but now after however many straight games it's been, he is shooting 45.3% from 3 on roughly 6 attempts a game. Like that is elite level shooting from a guy who is 6'8" and comfortable shooting with a hand in his face. Like he is a legitimate rotation player in the NBA. And heading into the season, the whole problem was like, oh, the Celtics depth. How's just like the first sub off the bench next to Al Horford, and he's damn good at it. Like this is very, very important for Celtics team. And Pritchard's been good too. The shooting isn't always there, but like everything else he's doing is important. I think Luke Kornet's even been good, but like Hauser outside of the top 6, and you know what? even Horford included, because Horford struggled. Like Hauser might be the sixth best player on the team right now, and like not overall. Obviously, Horford's still a more impactful, better player, but like right now, like Hauser's giving them significant, important minutes. He played 18 tonight, shot 4 or 6 from deep, grabbed 4 rebounds. Like he was really good, and he's been really good, and it's fun to see after the slow start.
Yeah, Hauser is like basically built like Paul George, similar weight, similar height. I mean, I think. Well, you think
I know, it's just funny.
Underpaid white guy for the Midwest is not like a big, strong body, but like, I mean, if you see him in person, he's way stronger than you might see on television. And to your point, he often isn't in a position to use that athleticism, but we've seen it a lot. There are a few loose balls. Actually, there was one play where I thought he was going to get hurt. He like really hit the deck hard. But yeah, when he involves himself with the offense physically beyond just shooting, it's really intriguing. And then on defense, he's not going to make an all defensive team, but I think he can be a really reliable plug and play piece. It'll be interesting. One of the questions I have is if you stagger let's say 4 stars with respect to Horford, or I guess 5 because of White. Geez, this team is so good.
You got to respect Derek White. Hey, that's the rule of the podcast.
I know that's your rat list is just going to be me saying that just now.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. It absolutely is. The app is easy to use, and you can be on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston. Kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know what the right combination of staggering is. I don't think they know either who should play with who to maximize return, but Hauser's such a reliable, like basically if you split the Jays, right, one of them can play alongside Hauser, and that's so helpful because defensively you're giving up less than I think you would think at first blush. Yeah. Great.
Definitely.
I guess Cornette and Pritchard were fine. I really like.
I mean,
this.
It's fun. It's fun to have. It like feels so professional. We can talk about the turnovers quick too, because there were some rough ones. Like that is something the Celtics had to clean up. They only had 12, but it did feel like there were a lot more because of. To be honest, it's probably because the Raptors didn't deserve the turnovers. It's probably because they were a lot of unforced error turnovers, which I don't know if I see that as going to be a big problem because like the age-old thing is, the Warriors led the league in turnovers just because they played super fast, but like you do want to minimize those mistakes, and at times it felt like the turnovers came because there was too much, it's my turn, I'll call my own number. Like, yeah, I don't know how many of them were in like the fourth quarter versus the first quarter versus,
they had 7 in the first half.
Okay, so yeah, that's significant.
Yeah, they had 7 in the first half. That was why that was the bad news.
An 8? 8 in the first half. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that's a lot more than I thought. That's what it's. I'm looking at NBA.com. I don't know. What is this?
I counted 7. We may need to edit something after this. Yeah, I mean, a few of them were errant passes, which you want people to be making ambitious passes, I suppose. But it was still a prominent part of their game. By my count, actually, if you have the stats in front of you, I saw 12 Raptors points off turnovers in the first half. Which, I mean, Boston at one point led by 30. This game was never close, but because of the turnovers in the first half, they went into halftime only up 10 or something like that.
Yeah,
so, I think the Raptors have some nice players, but I think they stink, and giving up easy points to stinky teams is a bummer. Giving up turnover-based points to good teams is a killer. So. I don't know. Maybe it's just like a part of the fabric of this team. No coach seems to be able to get it out of them, but it wasn't not a thing,
Yeah. No, I mean, looking at their first half turnovers, I have the hopefully this pulls up their thing. I have them here, we don't have to dive through all of them because we have to put a copyright film over this in the post so we don't like lose copyright or whatever and people get mad at it. But this one in particular, I haven't watched them all. These are the first half turnovers. This looks to me just like them not getting used to the spots. Like it feels like Jrue thinks, Kristaps is going to leak out towards the logo a little bit more, create space. And so he just ends up throwing it too far. That's one thing. Jaylen just got stripped on this one. I haven't watched the rest yet, but like this one says Brown gets stripped by Siakam. So I assume this is just another one where he over dribbles. Shocker. That's a classic Jaylen Brown. But then there are some of those bad passes that you mentioned. It feels like they're just,
that one. That was the one I was thinking about.
There's not really an excuse for that one. But it does feel like some of these are, I don't want to say they'll go away throughout the season because I do, I do feel like the Celtics just might be a turnover prone team because of how much they go to ISO a little bit or how much they try to find these guys in their spots. But like Porzingis not going out to the logo, like we've seen he can shoot from the logo. So it's not like that's a spot where he just wouldn't be. So maybe it's just them getting used to like knowing where their teammates want the ball because they're still so new together. But that's definitely something they have to work on throughout the season because like you said, like you can't give these teams turnovers. Like that's a big reason why the Sixers were able to keep that lead. Like Maxi's just the flash. And so you give him a turnover and you're getting scored on. And that happened against the Raptors too. But
how did you if I have League Pass, do I have access to all those videos?
Anybody does. If you go to the box score on NBA.com, you can click on stats and I'll show you the videos.
Is that how people clip videos for Twitter so fast?
No, because they don't show up there until after the game. And so there's like a little after the game, then the videos load. On Twitter, people clip it. I don't know how people clip it. I just when I clip stuff when I clip stuff for Twitter, I just have like Hulu open and so I'll rewind and then I'll go video and like I don't know. That's when I'm at home at least. I don't know how people do it from here. Well, that's how
NBA on Hulu.
I have Hulu plus live TV, so when it's on NBC Sports Boston, I can rewind. Like, it's easy.
Oh. I love the people. All the people I've ever met who work at NBC Sports Boston have been nice people. That app sucks. That app does not work.
Oh, no, it's not good. It's not good at all. Again, like you said, love the NBC Sports Boston crowd, but not a good app. Looking at the Raptors game a little bit more, Jayson Tatum. Kind of sick, kind of awesome. Just a really good player. As much as that's terrible,
breaking news here.
Yeah, right. Like he used 10 of 18 from the field, 3 of 9 from deep. Maybe a few too many of those, but he was a plus 42, which is crazy. But the thing that I enjoyed was something I wanted to ask him, but didn't get a chance. He got a call, or he got something called against him. Against Siakam, and then he got mad, but instead of like complaining too much, he just went down the other end. He got himself in the same exact position that Siakam was in and drew the same exact foul. But I mean, if you want to take a positive, Siakam only made 1 of 2 and Tatum made 2 of 2 free throws. So like Tatum used the anger. He was like, all right, fuck this. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to draw a foul. Like I'm mad. And then he followed that up by chucking a not so great 3, but then he made a 3 as well, aggressive, or he made a layup, at the end of the half. So like I'm enjoying seeing Tatum attacking the game in new ways, and you see it a lot in the way he's posting up. Sam Cassell is working on him with that, as he's talked about this season, the way he's driving more. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the shot chart for Tatum year to year. Have you seen that graphic on Twitter where it's like his shots last year were only, at the wings? I'll find it while you're giving your take on it, but like he is attacking the game from so many other spots. There was another play. I need to find it. I probably have it written down here, but I would need to find it. He took a 3, or excuse me, he got the ball at the 3-point line. He pump faked. I can find it. I got it right here. I'm glad I found the what's it called? Timestamp. It's in the second quarter, in 18, and he made a jumper. So I'm going to pull it up here and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So Jayson Tatum, last year, this would have been a pull-up contested 3 in transition. This year, Jayson Tatum says, I'm running, got the ball here. Psych, you're going to close out. I'm going to settle for a little mid-range jumper, and that's money. That is such a huge progression for Jayson Tatum. Him not settling for that 3, like he can make that midi all day, but he wasn't taking it last year. Instead, this year, he is not settling for as many 3s. He still took 9, but he's not settling for the bad 3s, and that's why you're seeing his efficiency go up. He's shooting like 55% from the field because he's driving and emphasizing the mid-range more. Like he is such a complete offensive player that like the whole complaint of, use your game more, and he's doing it. And it's coming at the perfect time because he can still get his 30 points, but it's more efficient. So he doesn't have to take as many shots. Like Tatum's been unbelievable. And that play was a perfect example.
I mean, I have two thoughts on. Well, I guess I have three thoughts on that. First, I'd be curious to see what the team shot chart across the board looks like, and if that is something schematic and related to coaching, or if that's Tatum. Assuming Tatum had some
This is
say in
Tatum.
that.
Year to year, by the way. Last year, this year.
Yeah, that's night and day. I mean, it feels
Big
similar to
difference.
when LeBron made that leap in Miami, where the like presence of, and they were both 26 or about to be 26 anyways. The
Mhm.
presence of mind to use your body and spacing in the right way is, I mean, you hear the trope like the game's really slowing down for him, but I think that that's true when you take the superstar to super duper star leap. It's just like making that decision in real time. Because
Mhm.
you have to imagine Jayson Tatum, every instinct in his body is to shoot a three or dunk the basketball because
Yeah.
why wouldn't that be what he wants to do? Yeah, no, that's tremendous. To your point, I'll do you one better. I've got the quote from Joe Mazzulla post game,
Nice.
which you asked him about, so that's the only reason I have it. Mazzulla said, "That's an area where." Here's my Joe Mazzulla impression. No, just kidding. That's an area where Jayson has really grown. He's using that energy towards physicality and execution on both ends of the floor, which is true. I mean, to say nothing of pulling up for a three, the question really was around complaining about calls or getting distracted when he's feeling slighted or emotional. And the early return suggests that like Tatum will still complain about a call, but he'll also not, lose his cool necessarily. So I don't know. I don't know if we will look back on this game and say like, yes, this was a piece to the puzzle, or but like I said, they haven't beaten a good team yet, so I'm not skeptical,
True.
but I'm waiting to
Mhm.
say the new era is here and it has begun, because I think you and I might have been able to score a basket against that Raptors team at some point.
It was ugly. It was ugly. Last thing before I, let you surrender from this pain that is the How About Them Celtics podcast. Jaylen Brown, our commenters have gotten mad at us at times for not talking about when Jaylen Brown is good. And so I wanted to talk about it because he was really stinking good in this game. Like, I thought, obviously, we talked about the two-man game with KP. He had 29 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, only 2 turnovers, 12 of 20 from the field, 3 of 8 from deep. His chemistry with Kristaps Porzingis showed off the improved playmaking, but like I don't think, and I think the reason I don't talk about it as much is because Jaylen Brown's a professional scorer. That is what he does. That is the expectation. His ability to drive and then just dunk over anybody who is in his
Yeah.
way. Like he had a couple dunks tonight where it's just like, yeah, sorry Raptors, get the fuck out of the way. Like you don't exist to me. And he just dunked all over them. There's still the threes you might not want to see where it's contested. And you're like, yeah, maybe don't take that. But then he makes them. And it's like he did at the end of the game against the Sixers when he struggled. He just makes them sometimes. So it's cool. But like his ability to drive to the lane, I think is the reason why people get mad at him taking those threes, because he's so fucking good driving to the lane that when he takes the threes, it's like, Jaylen, you could have gotten past Precious Achua and taken a dunk at the rim, but you took a contested three. So he was awesome tonight. The chemistry with Kristaps Porzingis was on point. Like you mentioned, that screen that we watched, like he's doing stuff off the ball too. Like Jaylen Brown, I thought this was honestly probably one of his better games of the season in terms of his ability to be an offensive hub with KP and just his ability to score the basketball. It might not show up as much in the stat sheets. I mean, obviously he had 29 points, but he was only a +9 compared to like +42 for Tatum, +20, +22, whatever it was. But I was very impressed with the way he handled himself, especially on the offensive end. And defensively, he was good too, but there's not much to say defensively against a Raptors team with no offense. But I thought Jaylen Brown had a really, really good game tonight, and I was impressed.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. There was a stretch. I forget if it was the first quarter, or the end of the first quarter, or the beginning of the second quarter, where Tatum sat in that theme where Boston's offense, like, is a chicken without a head, persisted.
Yeah, it happens.
And
but yeah,
that's on Jaylen Brown, right? I mean, if he's the other
it was
All
good. It
NBA, well, so it wasn't to start whatever the stretch was. I think the first Tatum sub, Boston's offense looked kind of crappy. Jaylen was forcing the issue a little bit. It didn't feel super encouraging. Later, that flipped on its head. I mean, again, Jaylen led all scorers with 29 points, and it's not just that he can beat most people off the dribble, which he can, especially when he finds a mismatch. off ball, he's such a good cutter. Like he is something of a lob threat. He with speed and space, he can dunk over everyone. To your point, I really would love to see him execute off ball a little more to his benefit because he can finish at the rim so explosively. So this game started not as a mixed bag, but closer than you would have expected. I mean, after the first quarter, it was 30-26. It wasn't a blowout. Again, later the Celtics led by as many as 30. So it really changed gears in a big way. And Jaylen being the focal point of the offense was a big part of that. But there was still, not to be a Debbie Downer, there were still elements of Jaylen as the primary offensive option this season has made interesting decisions. But then later there was, whoa, this is transformative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good word for it. And I think part of that is, I don't want to say on Joe because I don't want to make it out like it's his fault, but I think it's Joe's job to put Jaylen in the best positions to succeed. And last game against the Nets, when I think you saw him struggle a decent amount, was Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and bench guys. And like Derek White's great, but having Jaylen play primarily with Porzingis, I think, is the solution to minimizing the non-Tatum minutes, and that showed tonight. So shout out Jaylen. I thought he was good. Did we miss anything? Is there anything else from this game we should have talked about?
No, I mean, I think Jrue, Porzingis, and Jaylen playing together when Tatum sits, and then Tatum can play with like Derek and Horford. That seems like that's gonna be,
I think that's good.
I think that let's keep an eye on that. No, I don't think there's anything really. Akon was here. That was cool.
Akon was here. That was cool. I agree.
Didn't get to meet Akon, but that was cool.
No. Unfortunately. Yeah, the Raptors are just really bad. They're really not a good team. Not that good. Anyways, thank y'all for listening to our recap. And thank you, Cam, for joining us. And I'll throw it back over to me and Sam and our past selves. All right. Thank you to future Jack and Sam for that wonderful recap of the Celtics Raptors game. I'm sure it was spectacular, or maybe just Jack, but I'm sure I did a good job too, if that's the case. So I'm confident in our abilities to recap the basketball game. But doubling back a little bit to the Celtics Nets game, since it was the Celtics' first back-to-back of the season, we got a little duplicate coverage.
Essentially, we have stuff that's still fresh to talk about, despite the pod coming out a day later.
Yeah, let me shut the fuck up and just talk. Payton Pritchard got into a little bit of beef after the game with Dennis Smith Jr., and he also got into some beef with the haters online. It was a beef-filled day for Payton Pritchard, who had...
Anyone ask him about that?
He was in the locker room.
Lame.
I don't think anybody asked him. I don't know if anybody asked him about Dennis Smith Jr., but...
Soft media.
He was had his best game of the season against the Nets, arguably. I forget exactly what he finished with. I think he had like 13 points and 7 assists. But he made a couple shots. He grabbed 4 offensive rebounds. He made a real impact on the game. And he scored the ball. 13 points. 3 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 7 from deep. Still not the best shooting performance, but he made a couple shots, which was nice to see. And considering he scored 0 points in a lot of games prior to this, and he played 30 minutes in a real game, it was nice to see him make an impact. But after the game, Pritchard said, "I haven't been on social media and I haven't been looking, so I figured people are coming at me, but it's part of playing in Boston, and that's what I like about it, so I wouldn't want to play anywhere else. But if I'm playing bad, I want to hear it, and I'll get it back." Said his extension helped keep him calm, etc., despite the poor performance not being good. Also said, "I went back to what made me a good shooter in the first place. Then I started dialing back into that. It's just kind of a mental game, how it starts to affect you, start second guessing shots. But at the end of the day, you put in too much work. So I just believe in myself," which is, I mean, he's saying all the right things. And the piece about, I like playing in Boston because of that. Fans should take that and be okay with it. But
and I think the fans already like him.
Yeah, we were. I mean, I'll say it for both of us. We weren't worried about Payton Pritchard. Like, shooters go through slumps. It happens. It was poor time because it was start of the season. He was fresh off a really hot preseason, but
right.
He's an impactful player. Joe Mazzulla said it after the game. He said he's been impactful all season. He just hasn't been scoring. And so I think Pritchard's fine. It's glad to hear that he hasn't been, looking into social media too much, because we know how that can affect players. So it's nice to see him, sort of just settling back into his role.
See, I think he's actually running from the grind. Like, I would have way more respect for Payton Pritchard if he was like, yeah, like, I wasn't looking at social media, then I looked at it before today and I got a little bit of extra boost. So I went out there and balled out and decided to make some threes. in all seriousness, I think it's really great that he had a game where he was making shots. He was confidently taking shots. He was making an impact off the ball, even though, again, he's done that all season. It's something we briefly touched on in the little recap that posted on Saturday morning. But, I mean, he was all over the offensive glass. He got an offensive rebound on his own free throw. That never happens. And he put it back up for 2 points.
He also got an offensive rebound on his own three and then made a three. It was like he was just tracking it down. For real. No, it's good to see him willing to just make, and if anything, I'd rather him start off like this, cold from three, but impacting the game in other ways, than red hot from three, and that's all he's doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it shows he can have an impact even when he's cold. And then like, okay, so even when he is making shots, like he'll be doing other stuff too. I think it just shows that he's a more well-rounded player than a lot of people give him credit for. And I stand by it. That extension's a steal, especially with how the salary cap is rising. Like that's just a really good contract for a player who can play 30 minutes and have a positive impact on the game.
Yeah, at the very least, I think it's going to be something, if not with Boston, another team is going to want to take in a trade. And they're like, well, Pritchard's ceiling might be kind of high. We can trade for him, bring him in here, give him more minutes, more freedom, and see how he pans out, rather than being with the Celtics and being very limited, even though he's not that limited because they trust him, but more limited in terms of the talent he's playing with and the actual things that people want to see him doing. If he was on a bench role with, let's say, I don't know, a bad team like the Clippers or something, right? Or, pick a team. Even San Antonio would be interesting.
The Grizzlies?
Memphis.
Unfortunately.
He would have a lot of flexibility with what he's allowed to do if he's allowed to cook. The speed hasn't really looked to be there in terms of getting to the rim when a defender's on him. But besides that, he's definitely crafty enough to get shots off and create for others at times. We've seen him post triple doubles when he actually gets opportunity to really have the ball in his hands.
Yeah. I agree. It's nice to see him playing well, and I expect him to keep playing well. I mean, he's going to have his downs. Every player gets cold, but like he'll bounce back. He's a good player. Next thing we have is Jayson Tatum is leading the league in plus minus, and it's not really close. Like Tatum's just, and this was kind of a thing last year too. Like Tatum was the best Celtic in terms of plus minus, which in your head you're like, yeah, duh, no shit. Of course he's the best player in plus minus, but like, no, he was by far the best player in plus minus. The Celtics have a negative point differential when he's off the court, or a negative net rating when he's off the court. Grandy tweeted it out last night. I'm going to try to find it just so I'm not like speaking out of my ass here. And so I can give you the actual stat and I'm not making it up as I go. But even with all of, Jrue Holiday coming in, Kristaps Porzingis coming in, the new talent in the team, this is still what it looks like for Jayson Tatum on the court. The on-court, off-court numbers for Tatum. Tatum on the court, Celtics, plus 124. Tatum off the court, Celtics, minus 26. The Celtics are a plus 98 on the season, but they are the negative plus minus with Tatum off the court. That's absurd. That's like actually ridiculous.
Is it concerning?
No, I don't think so. I bet the Nuggets have a not very good point differential when Jokic is off the court. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's just like Tatum is that good. I don't think it's a reflection of how like, oh, the rest of the team is bad. I think it's just a reflection, maybe the bench, if you're really going to get into it, but like, I think it's just a reflection of how good Jayson Tatum is. Like, because Jrue Holiday has a plus 89, Porzingis has a plus 83, Derek White has a plus 7. Excuse me, got the hiccups, plus 75. Like, and those are all top 15 numbers in the league. Like, the rest of the Celtics have good plus minuses too.
What about Jaylen?
Tatum's
is he up there?
He's at plus 58. Yeah, I mean, he's top 25, top 26 too. Sure. It's just Tatum is that good. Like, Tatum's just really fucking good at basketball, as stupid as that is.
He's skilled, smart, strong. He can get whatever he wants.
Here are the plus minuses for the Celtics, by the way.
Okay. So the question that I really wanted to think about here is Tatum plus 124. Is there a way for the Celtics to not look like absolute ass when he's on the bench? Because even in a game like Fridays against Brooklyn, right? There was a stretch there where it was Jaylen Brown and the boys, and things did not look great.
It was Jaylen and Derek White, yeah. And they didn't do well.
They need to really give Jaylen more reinforcement, I think. And I think Jaylen had a good game on Friday. This is not Jaylen bashing. This is maybe Jaylen shouldn't be the only one out there. He's just not that good. He's good enough to be the number one, but he definitely needs some solidified 2s and 3s with him. Whereas Tatum, you can trot him out there with all the fellas, Pritchard, Hauser, Cornette, and pick your fifth, and they still do just fine. Jaylen Brown can't be out there with that group. He needs Jrue Holiday. He needs Porzingis as an option, because if not, he's going to see too many defenders, and I don't think his handle is there just yet to be able to handle all that. It's how the Nets got back into the game for a little bit. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah. I agree. I almost wonder if it would be better off being a Jrue Holiday, because like the way Joe's been running the rotation so far, it's been Jrue with Tatum and Porzingis on the bench, switch for Horford, but obviously Horford wasn't there last night, so I assume you would have seen him in that lineup with Jaylen and Derek White. I wonder if it would be better if it was Jrue Holiday and Jaylen Brown and Derek White and Jayson Tatum sort of paired in those bunches for subs. But I also think it just didn't help that, like when that lineup that was in against the Nets, and I know exactly when you're talking about it, was in the middle of the first quarter when the Nets kind of made a surge back after the Celtics took an early lead. Derek White just like missed like 3 easy floaters in a row. So that goes from you remember what I'm saying? Like they got good shots, just Derek White's shot was a little bit off, and that kind of ruined the flow of things. So the Celtics went from up 9 to, a 2-point game when it could have been, a 10, 12-point lead for them. It's just Derek White missed a couple layups. So I don't think that was as much of Jaylen bad, but I do agree that like he's just not the best at, well, I mean, not bad as a player, but bad as running an offensive unit by himself, because that's just never been his game. So I do wonder if you'd rather see him with Jrue Holiday or him with Derek White and Porzingis, and then Tatum with just one of the other starters. But those are things I'm sure Joe can work on throughout the season. But the Tatum plus minus thing is, I mean, it's kind of nuts. And the fact that he's still averaging like 28 points, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists on 50-40 shooting this year, like that's some crazy shit. And Jaylen's percentages are better this year too. 45-38's good. Porzingis shooting super well. Derek White shooting well. Jrue Holiday probably you want to see a little bit better, but he's averaging 8 and 6. So you can
he's been more of a do everything guy.
Yeah,
he was
4 double
against the
doubles
Nets on Friday.
Yeah, 4 double doubles for Jrue Holiday already. No complaints here from them. And Tatum is it's fun to watch. I'll put it that way. Tatum's plus minus is fun to watch. He leads the league in total plus minus so far. Second is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Then Anthony Edwards. Wolves have been rolling. Like that's not a fluke that they beat the Celtics. They've just been really good this year. Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Jrue Holiday. It's a lot of the top teams. And then Dylan Brooks chilling there 10. The Rockets also have been sneaky, like eyes emoji.
5 in a row. 5 in a row. Ime and the boys.
Good for them. But yeah, next thing we have is Jrue Holiday. We got back-to-back Jrue Holiday topics. But during the game, and I didn't hear the exact quote, Jrue Holiday was wink wink talking to JJ Redick. What'd he say? What'd he say exactly?
So I saw this online because I watched the local broadcast, as you all should. He goes up to JJ as he's mic'd up, and he goes, "You look good in a suit, but you would look better in a jersey." Does he want him on the Celtics?
Would be funny. I know JJ Redick has talked about how he was almost on the Celtics at one point. Like I know there was the coaching stuff when Joe Mazzulla signed on, but like as a player too, he talked about it.
It was like before he went to Philly, I think he almost came here.
Yeah. Obviously, JJ Redick's not going to come back and play for the Celtics.
He seems like he's got it pretty good. I think he likes what he's doing.
I think he's all right. I think he's.
But what if he does it? He wants a ring.
But what if?
Gotta chase the ring.
I think JJ Redick will be a coach sooner rather than later.
I always get a kick out of when JJ's like, I hate ring culture, but like he doesn't have like a ring. So of course you don't like it. Not to say like anyone's like JJ, no rings.
No, I do agree with his take on that though. Ring culture is a bit extreme, and it definitely factors in like
quit crying and win.
You're the fucking worst. No, but yeah, wink wink. Jrue Holiday wants him. Were they were never teammates, were they? Were they teammates?
No.
Are we sure?
Redick played Orlando, then
New Orleans,
then Milwaukee briefly. Oh, they might have been teammates in New Orleans.
Were they teammates in New Orleans? I don't know what year JJ Redick went to New Orleans.
I think that might
They
have been the
were.
last year of his career, and then
They
they
were
traded
teammates, yeah.
JJ.
They were teammates in New Orleans, yeah. Okay. I was wondering because I knew it wasn't in Philly because I knew they didn't cross paths there, but
Right.
okay. They were teammates in New Orleans. Anyways, second back-to-back Jrue Holiday topic. We couldn't find the quote, but obviously Jrue Holiday has been guarding big guys this year. You wonder, obviously we're going to have reacted to the Raptors preview earlier in the show, so we haven't seen the game yet, but you wonder if he'll probably get that assignment again with Jakob Poeltl and Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam.
Maybe Scotty Barnes or
three
Pascal
bigger
Siakam.
guys. I would guess
you're burning him on Poeltl.
No, I think you'll probably see Kristaps on Poeltl because he likes to. Actually, the Raptors would probably be a good lineup for the Celtics to guard because Kristaps likes to play in the drop anyways, and so you'll have Poeltl down there just kind of sinking the whole defense in and screwing the Raptors over, who don't have much spacing anyways. I would guess Jrue Holiday on Siakam, but he's been guarding big guys this year. He guarded Embiid, obviously. He guarded Julius Randle. He guarded Karl-Anthony Towns. Like he's been guarding power forwards and centers all year, and it's so the Celtics can sink in and feed everybody into the drop and then send help if they need to, but he's strong enough to do it. And I know you said there was a quote on it. We couldn't find the quote. Do you remember what the quote was about or what he said about it at all? But we just wanted to talk about it briefly.
I don't remember exactly. I think he said he likes the challenge and he can definitely hang with those guys. It was something along that. It was very basic stuff, but it did feel like he's completely up for the challenge. It doesn't sound like the Celtics are going to stop doing this anytime soon. It also kind of feels like the Celtics need him to be able to do this. Al Horford's getting up there in age. Porzingis clearly is not strong enough to hang with these guys. Bam killed him. Embiid had his way with him a couple times, and he really didn't see a whole lot of Embiid, but when he did, it wasn't great.
These are his top matchups this year. I just pulled it up here. Towns up there, Randall up there, and Embiid up there. Obviously, and a lot of he's guarding everybody. It's kind of crazy. Cam Thomas kind of cooked him. He kind of cooked him.
Cam Thomas just wasn't missing though. He was making a lot of tough shots.
But I mean, 3 for 6 for Karl-Anthony Towns. We saw up and down though. Those 3 buckets came in quick succession. Him just scoring 3 in a row. Then the rest of the game he was useless. Julius Randle was 1 for 10 when guarded by Jrue Holiday. Joel
That's
Embiid
not
was
saying
1 for
much though.
No, and he also but Karl-Anthony Towns 3 for 6, 5 turnovers against Jrue Holiday. That's something right there. Joel Embiid 3 turnovers, 1 for 3. That's a success. Any other big guys on here of note? I don't really see any.
Julius Randle surprisingly no turnovers.
Yeah, well, not when guarded by him, but in general there were probably a few. But he's forced a lot of turnovers this year. Obviously Julius Randle was not so great against him, but he's been good this year. Jrue Holiday has done a good job of guarding anybody the Celtics have put him on. So it's nice to see.
I wonder if more people are going to start doing this with guards.
I think you have to have
a trendsetter.
I think you have to have the right guard, and I think you also have to have. I think the Celtics are in a unique position because they not only have Jrue Holiday, who is a strong guard, but they also have another guard capable of guarding the better guards. I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying because you have Derek White, who can if you didn't have Derek White,
he's not doing this.
But my point is, if you didn't have Derek White, you would probably put Jrue Holiday on a Steph Curry over a Kevon Looney or a Jalen Brunson over a Julius Randle. But since you also have Derek White, he can guard the guard, and then you have Jrue Holiday to guard the big guy.
When they were in Minnesota, Derek White didn't play, and he had the Towns matchup right off rip.
Okay, but then you still have Jaylen Brown. You need other good perimeter defenders on your team. I'm trying to think of an example. If you're the Grizzlies with Marcus Smart, you can't
afford
Smart on Julius Randle as effectively, because then if you're starting Smart and Derrick Rose, you don't really want to put Derrick Rose on Tyrese Maxey, right? But you can put Derek White on Tyrese Maxey, even, and then have Jrue Holiday guard Embiid because you have that extra thing. So I think the Celtics are in a unique position. If there are teams that are comfortable doing this, if you're the Timberwolves and you wanted to put Anthony Edwards on him and have Mike Conley chase somebody around the perimeter, I think that could work.
Okay.
I just think you have to have the right personnel. But
the interesting
I think
part
you could
of
see other
this
teams do it.
is because Jrue Holiday is so used to guarding more skilled players in terms of ball handling. I'm not even trying to make fun of these guys.
I thought you were just gonna make fun of Julius Randle.
No.
Okay.
Because he's used to guarding the quick players like a Curry, even Jimmy Butler, who killed him in the playoffs. But to deal with that level of shot creation and skill, he's got weird abilities for these big guys who aren't used to anybody looking to swipe the ball from them that's guarding them low. That's why, or one of the reasons you're seeing so many turnovers from the bigs that he's covering. I mean, a lot of turnovers from Cat, good amount of turnovers from Embiid. They're just not used to somebody being a pest consistently. Maybe one possession on a switch and you just deal with it, but not time after time after time down the floor. That's where you see him get sloppy. It's a very interesting approach from the Celtics.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's working well, and I hope they keep doing it. Next thing we have is something I asked Jrue Holiday and Jaylen Brown about last night. So, first quarter against the Nets. Obviously, the Raptors game has happened since then. We can't talk about that. We don't know. First quarter against the Nets, Jaylen Brown, red hot, not missing, right? Like he was on, had 12 points in the first. Second quarter, Jayson Tatum, red hot, 13 points in the second quarter. And so I asked Jrue Holiday, I'm like, what's the balance between trying to keep the offense free flowing versus seeing those two are like on fire and wanting to keep them flowing and keep their, keep the feed the hot hand effectively. And
Right.
Jrue Holiday said, it's just, he responds, he goes, it's just basketball. And I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, he's just going to stop fucking talking now and make me look like a moron. But no, he said, it's just basketball. He talked about when you play long enough, you know who the hot hand is, especially when you have somebody who's got it going like JB, get him the ball. Cause obviously he can go for 50 on any given night. He also talked about how it's been fun to watch Jaylen and Jayson, play the way they've been playing. He said, I feel like doing that kind of makes the game easy for us, and they do it so efficiently. Then it's JT's turn to come in and kind of show what he has. It's been really fun to see them with that balance. I wouldn't even say it's me or sometimes the other guys. A lot of times they let the game come to them, and how they play is very team oriented. And then other times they just take over and they know they're about to take over. So it's been interesting to see the team find that sort of balance. Jaylen Brown also talked about it. He said it's a challenge to figure that out, when to be yourself and be aggressive, when to get other guys going and let the game come to you. I think it's something we're adjusting to and we'll get used to as the team goes on. He also said there's going to be an adjustment phase and your shots, your looks, your touches, everything could be different night to night. So you got to be prepared for it. So it's sort of interesting to see the team navigate that, because you obviously have two of the best scorers in the league in Tatum and Brown, who averaged, 30 and 27 last year, whose numbers are just inevitably going to go down a bit with the talent they have on the roster. But you also don't want to like take the ball to their hands as much, because they're still like far and away the best scorers you have. So it's just interesting to see them navigate that. And I thought the Nets game was a perfect example, because they both were hot and they both scored like a decent amount, but other nights Jaylen Brown might not be there, or Jayson Tatum might not have it. So I just think that's an intriguing balance to watch them like play out on the court.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the hot hand, right? I think the hot hand is one of the most important things the Celtics are going to have to learn about this year. They've got 5 guys. So far, I think 4 of them have finished a game as the leading scorer. Let's see. Tatum has had the big night in New York. Then I think Derek White led them against Miami. Porzingis had the most against Philly. And then Jaylen last night against Brooklyn had 29 or 28, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So the only one that's due to be the guy is Jrue Holiday. And he seems to be the one that needs that the least, which is great. It allows him to fit right in. The seamless transition has been pretty good from him. You really haven't noticed a lot of struggles or, wow, he's terrible tonight, he's hurting them. Even when he's bad, it's like, okay, whatever. I don't think he was great in Philly, but that was the only time I can really remember being like, didn't love that. So as the year goes on, I hope to see more and more of that diverse leading scorer with the highest dosage of Tatum, because I still think he's the best bet. But I think if the Celtics are playing the best, he doesn't have to be, because he's going to see 3 bodies when he tries to go to the paint. They need to be able to take advantage of that. And these other guys need to allow the Celtics to punish the opposing defenses when they overhelp. We saw it a couple times. It's one of the reasons why they've pummeled a few teams so far. But again, when they lose, it kind of sucks. It's like, okay, we need to find a new approach. Like, yes, diverse scoring is great, but maybe mix up the shot selection. Who knows? We're going to do a 3-point breakdown sooner or later here.
We'll get it done. We'll get it done for an individual video for y'all. It'll happen.
We need like a really controversial loss and be like, did the Celtics shoot too many threes against Team X? Here's what we think.
We need a 53 night
Comment
where they
section
shot.
will be a wasteland.
We need a game where they shoot 53s, shoot like 38%, right on the average, 36, 38, right on the average line, and they lose by like 2 points. Do you know what I'm saying? That we need one of those. Or even if they shoot poorly and just see if the offensive approach was there. Anyways, let's check in with our email. Let's get into that. See what people had to say today. What's popping? Put it on the screen. Let's go. Are you going to put it on the screen or do you want me to snag it? Perfect. Let me pull up the email. I'm fumbling through tabs here. And we're starting with Philip. This is from 2 days ago, but obviously we had already recorded then. Said, worried about Al. And this still applies because Al hasn't played yet. He'll play the Raptors game, so maybe this is completely irrelevant. He has like a hot shooting night. But Philip says, fellas, as always, thank you for your consistent work. You guys deserve success. We appreciate you, Philip.
Thank you.
I am worried about Al. Preface, he's my favorite Celtic. That said, in the preseason, he looked fine, but his regular season has arrived. He clearly looks slow on his feet, even though he's dishing out effort. Seeing his slow footwork did not worry me much because we primarily need him for his coverage on bigs. The Philly game, however, worried me because he had very little spring in his step against Embiid. He was slow to contest shots and beat guys on the board. It's confusing because he looks like he's in great shape, is undoubtedly playing hard. But as the season has started, I'm seeing less Al and more Blake Griffin. That is worrisome for a title run that has to go through Embiid, Giannis, and probably Jokic. What do you think? Are you seeing the same things? Does this push up our timeline to find another big? Or are we fine with Al off the bench and KP's mediocre defense on bigs? Well, with what we just talked about, I think having Jrue Holiday guarding bigs really helps this. First of all, I do see Al a little bit slower this year, which is like it's going to happen. Yeah, remember when Tim Duncan was listed DNP old. They threw him down there. Greg Popovich
just threw him right under the bus.
They literally listed him as just DNP old. But I see it. I think it's gonna be fine. I mean, this is the stupidest thing, and the comments are gonna get mad. Cornette's actually been pretty good as of late, so you have like a tiny bit of extra help. Jrue Holiday's been good on bigs. You have enough talent to make it work, but I think by the time the playoffs roll around, Al's defense should be there. He's not as switchable anymore, but so I think when he's the only big on the court, you might see him play a bit more drop like KP has been doing this year. And you really want to see the three-point shot come around because it hasn't been there. That said, the run to the NBA Finals, Al was not a good three-point shooter in the regular season, and then he was a really good three-point shooter in the playoffs. So hopefully that's kind of the arc we're taking, but I definitely see the concern with Al, and I think it's valid.
Well, the good thing about, or not even the good thing, the okay thing about him not being as switchable as Porzingis kind of isn't either. So regardless of who is out there manning the middle, they're going to have the same approach when it comes to handling screens, which is inevitably going to be the drop, which I can't wait for a meltdown because of it. But sometimes it's just what you have to do. They should be okay. Yeah. I'm curious to see what they do here as the season rolls on. If they do decide they need to bring somebody else in, I think they still have the roster spot, right? Like it's still a thing. But yeah, the reports were out like they wanted Blake Griffin back. He's not playing anywhere. Might be waiting a little while to bring him back if that's a thing. He's not the answer.
I need Tice. I need Daniel.
Even Tice isn't the answer.
What?
I like him, and he's a solid rotation option, but he's not
you're right.
defense answer.
No, I think that's why. I think that's why I was kind of excited for Wenyen Gabriel, a switchable guy who could play defense down low, but he didn't play well.
Wait till Neemi's out there.
Yeah, I would like Neemi. That's why I'd like Lamar Stevens a little bit too. Get him out there, play some defense, but we'll see what happens. The Celtics have options. They'll I think they'll figure it out. Next one. Nate just getting in here. It paid off, brother.
Paid off.
W. Big for Nate.
Nate,
like I will
free pop.
Be like Nate. Comment what's popping on the pod. I'll send you an email after this, Nate. Thank you, sir. Perspective, can we have some from RJ Johnson? Morning, guys. Now the Celtics have lost 2 in a row. Have all the Patriots fans left? Maybe.
Well, they turned around and went back to the Patriots. They said, how many have they lost in a row?
A lot.
I don't know. Probably more than 2.
Yeah. Several things stand out about this year's start. Even with the 2 losses, 5-2 is the Celtics' best start after 7 games of the last 3 seasons. Squad stumbled out of the gate, 2-5 under Ime Udoka, 5-3 last year with Coach Mazzulla. Celtics are integrating 2 players who are new to the roster, starting 5. Knowing where people want to receive the ball relative to their body and movement takes time to where you are using that knowledge reflexively. I was about to say relatively. Sorry. That's why I was slow. It certainly takes more time than 5 games. Celtics are sharing the wealth better, just maybe not all the way to the end of the bench. For all of last year, here were the Celtics top 6 in field goals per game: Tatum, Brown, Brogdon, Smart, White, Horford. This season, the list reads Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Holiday, White, Hauser. JT and JB have passed along 4 shots per game to KP, Jrue, D. White, but the bench guys are getting fewer shots per game. It's been evident since the Knicks game, and seems to be less of a factor of the bench guys can't shoot and more the bench guys aren't getting the ball, which changed against the Nets a little bit. And this was before that game, so there's context for you. Which brings us to Pritchard. I think most of Pritchard's shooting woes stem from him not having Payton Pritchard available to pass the ball to him. When he's directing traffic, he's looking for his teammates, and his passes are hitting them in or close to their shooting pocket. When Pritchard is waiting for a pass, it is either off target, obvious, or non-existent. Last year, Brogdon, as the third point guard, was averaging 10 field goals a game. This year, Pritchard is averaging less than half that at just under 5 field goals a game. On the flip side, he's outperforming Brogdon in terms of offensive rebounding, assists, and assist to turnover ratio. Finally, the Celtics have enjoyed their best success this year when they played with better pace, especially when they got the ball into the front court within the first 4 seconds of the shot clock. Minnesota, applied token pressure that slowed them down, but against Philly and Brooklyn, there were too many times when they strolled rather than sprinted. I think they increased their pace. The scoring woes will be resolved. Be well, RJ. I think you saw a lot of this fix itself in the Brooklyn game, especially with Pritchard.
I think the pace is okay. I always love a fast-paced team, so I'm kind of with RJ, but the pace has to be under control, too. You can't just be playing recklessly. It needs to be more than one pass shot. It needs to be attempt at going to the basket and drawing the defense in at the very least, and then maybe shot or move the ball, swing the ball. Pace can
Celtics
also just mean quick passes.
They're 12th in pace this year, for context.
So average.
They're around
above average.
But I mean, pace is a relative stat to how you use it, as you said, because the Wizards are first in pace, and we can see how that's going.
Respect.
They're playing fast. You give them that. They're trying.
Who's last?
Last in pace is Rockets, who are actually playing pretty well right now.
We're
actually doing okay things. But, well, I mean, it's all context, though. The Raptors are 30th. The Nuggets are 27th. But then sandwiched in between them are the Bulls and the Raptors. So it's all how you use the pace. It's not about how fast you play. It's how you use the speed. Let's see. What's poppin' Payton Pritchard? Evening, guys. This is a deep dive on why Pritchard is a solid point guard, even when he's not hitting from deep. I don't have a video clip, so I put together a sequence of screenshots from Wednesday's game against Philly. For one sequence in the second quarter that pretty much encapsulates this year's Payton Pritchard experience and why he's not reason for concern. Here's a list of the breakdown. Let's take a quick peek. Obviously, we did see the the Nets game, but let's jump in here quick. 7 seconds of love. Why Payton Pritchard needs Payton Pritchard. It's easy to look for Payton Pritchard's shooting slump and, kill him for it. Here's a 13-second sequence of why not. Play starts with Holiday bringing the ball up against the Philly zone and passing to Tatum above 3-point line. Pritchard's alone in the far corner. Cornette's getting ready to box out. Obviously, you see the screenshot on the screen. I do have it up, right? Okay, yeah. Hauser shoots over Oubre. That's a crazy shot. Pritchard, JT, and Holiday are watching the launch. Cornette digging in for a position. Hauser misses. His shot comes off the rim on the far side. Cornette has inside position. Pritchard has sprinted to try for the rebound. Pritchard got the rebound. JT backpedaling. Hauser reversing direction. Pritchard dribbling along the baseline to get away from Paul Reed. Finds Hauser going back to the corner and sets a screen for him. Hauser takes another 3 with Paul Reed right in his grill. And he makes it. And it was an assist for Payton Pritchard. When you look at the footage from Pritchard being on the court, he keeps making hustle plays and having the highest assist percentage on the team. Most of the time, Pritchard has been on the floor. He seems to be paired up with Holiday or Brown. I wonder what his shooting would look like with more time opposite Derek White. Shout out, RJ. We appreciate you. And again, I think it's what you saw a little bit against the Nets where he got a little bit more freedom to run.
Also,
next thing. Yeah, run it.
Great segment for audio listeners. Because of the descriptions RJ provided, people listening on Spotify or Apple can get the full experience there. Good work.
Absolutely. And I'm going to apologize in advance for my extra sniffling today. I've got a really runny nose.
No.
And I already get killed for it, so I'm just going to apologize here. It's
can
bad
we get
today.
Some prayers for Jack. You guys prayed for me, and I'm back. I'm back.
You know they're not going to pray for my dumb ass. You know
okay.
It's not happening. All right, 2 more emails from RJ here. What's poppin'? Double-barreled action on a Friday night. This was at 1 a.m. After the Nets game, so we do have that.
Okay.
Evening, guys. With the Celtics on ESPN and me without cable, I got to do a fun experiment. Celtics on the radio through NBA League Pass and the main Celtics on YouTube at the same time. So we get a little main recap here. The main guys got off to a hot start against the Capital City Go-Go. I need to pause for a sec. That might be the worst name in the G League. It's up there.
I don't know all the G League names.
The Go-Go?
Go-Go's not great.
Bad. It's bad. We'll do a review at some point. Sprinting out to a 56-40 lead with 5:11 left in the second quarter. But like their big brothers, they couldn't stand on their own success and were holding on to a slim 68-65 lead by halftime. Ultimately, they lost on the road 137-127. There were some individual highlights. 7 players scored in double digits, with J.D. Davison leading the way with 23. Jordan Walsh at 18, DJ Stewart 17, Jordan Shaquille 16, Tony Snell 14, Kyler Kelly 12, and Taylor Funk 10. More on Walsh. He looked in control of himself and showed good strength against other young players. He also continued to be unafraid of the three, connecting at a 4-for-9 clip, even though he fired a couple of air balls. Well, if he's firing air balls and still shooting 4-for-9, that's all right. Davison might be the fastest guard. I know, but like the fact that he was able to shoot that poorly on some, but then make 4 of his 9, it's like, okay, it's, I guess.
I wonder
like, it's okay.
if air balls are statistically a better miss than a like off the rim shot. And here's why I think that.
Bigger adjustment.
Ball goes out of bounds, they just can't turn around and run on you.
I guess, yes.
If it hits the rim, that's a long rebound. They might be able to get out in transition.
Well, I mean, on the flip side, if it air balls and just goes right to another player, then they run faster on you.
You're never ready for it. You've played basketball. You're never ready for it.
You're right. Davison might be the fastest guard in the Celtic system, but he's still inconsistent with his shot. Kyler Kelly showed promise as a bruising yet mobile 7-footer. Maybe that's what we need. Bring him up.
I wrote about him when they signed him and waived him.
Bring him up. Listening to the game with Grandy and Max is always a chore for me. Sean describes the action just fine, but his constant warnings of imminent disaster is tiring. When the Celtics were comfortable,
yeah, you said it yourself. You said the G League team did exactly what the pro team does. The top team, they blew a lead.
No, I think Grandy and Max were on the main game or the Celtics actual game.
Yes, but no,
okay,
but like they're big brothers. They couldn't stand their own success.
You're right. When the Celtics were comfortably ahead late in the fourth quarter, he commented breathlessly that the Nets had cut the lead to 16, and he seemed positively giddy at the chance to remind everyone that total points and scoring margin in the in-season tournament as a tiebreaker for seeding. I was glad to hear Pritchard find his range and offensive rebounding continues to impress. Putting back his own free throw miss was absolutely joy to see. I caught the highlight reel. Last item, rather than just wait for April to send a reminder, I am tracking the playoff seeding week by week.
Oh, nice.
I'll update on Friday nights rather than Sundays. Here's like, this is fire.
This is a great transition.
You're a beast. Okay, so are these our predictions? What are these? Share this tab instead.
See it.
So these are RJ's predictions. Okay, these are RJ's predictions. These are the actual playoffs things. Okay, we might need to put our predictions in here as well so we can see. This is good though. Yeah. This is cool. Thank you, RJ. Weeks by week. Yeah. RJ, if you want to give me access, I can do it. But I think if you wouldn't mind putting Sam and I's predictions in here too, that'd be fire. I can go back and find them, so you don't have to dig for it. But if you want to shoot me a DM or something, I'll
this will be actually a nice weekly update.
Would be kind of cool. Thank you, RJ. This is very sick. And then last thing from RJ is about Brad. Brad was was on the call with Scal and Mike Gorman last night. Morning, guys. Man, I could listen to Brad Stevens talk about basketball, hell, about anything, giving his time on the mic with Mike Gorman and Scal during the Nets game last night. If he ever does a podcast, all of the Celtics pod community is in trouble.
Wait.
I loved his dry wit and low-key delivery. During a replay review on a potential clear path foul, Brad ran a quiet bit of banter. I haven't seen referee Zach Zarba up this close in a while. Zach's a good official, but I don't miss being this up close. And after Zarba announced that it was not a clear path violation, Brad dropped, I still don't agree with Zach. And then after they come out of the commercial with the clip package of Mike calling a bunch of amazing bird passes, Brad comes out with a quiet, those guys are pretty good. I bring all this up because of how he closed out his on-air time for the night. Brad was wearing a Rage the A's shirt, but neither Mike nor Scal brought up the topic. Sam, you mentioned this. I don't know if it was during the pod, but you mentioned it to me.
Yeah, he was none too pleased, as he's going to tell you.
Yeah, so as they're heading into the halftime break, Brad turns to Mike and goes, "Rage the age, remember?" Mike kind of stutters a reply of, "What?" We'll talk about that in the second half. Pretty much anyone else would wrap it there, but Brad quietly added, "Be sure you do." It reminded me that while he might not have Larry Bird's killer instincts on the court, this is a guy who traded Gallinari, Robert Williams, and Marcus Smart in a very business-like fashion. He's not going to let Gorman's time behind the mic or that it's his retirement season stop him from calling out what he wants to get done. Be well, RJ. Brad's kind of fire. I love Brad. He's funny as shit.
That was a weird interaction. That was strange. Because
didn't
listen,
like it?
I'm not one to catch things, and I caught that. I was like, "Ooh,
That's
he's
very
not happy
funny.
with them." That was like threatening.
Well, it's probably because he really wanted to talk about it. This is like probably the main reason he was on the broadcast, right? But
Yeah.
anyways, let's check in around the league. Hopefully soon we will have our predictions like RJ had for us laid out. We'll get that done. But for now, we're just going to look at the standings, give our thoughts around the NBA. Is there anything you wanted to start with? I know we're going to talk about the Clippers and Julius Randle separately after this, so we'll leave that for their own segments. But around the league, what are you looking at right now?
Yeah, so on Friday, I was watching a little bit of that Lakers-Suns game as you were at the pressers before we
I caught the
recorded.
end of it. I caught the end
You
of it on
caught
the
the
train.
end of
Yeah.
it. I saw the first half, so together we could do a full recap. So in the first quarter, LeBron drives on KD and comes down, and by the way that he is reacting, you would have thought he really, really hurt his knee. He like limps around for a minute and a half, then shoots free throws and limps between free throws, takes a big long walk out to half court, limping, and then goes back and shoots the second one. LeBron is the best. Oh my God, he might be hurt guy ever. Every single time I see LeBron play a game, he is fake hurt for at least 3 minutes. They always have to talk about is he done for the night?
I will say, I agree. First, I'm going to start with that. I do wonder how much of it is the fact that, like, yes, he's still really good. He's also old as shit. Like, let's call his bad. He is. But this has been
happening since he was like.
I know
forever.
That's why I prefaced. Yes,
yeah.
But he
does it just enough where you're like, oh, maybe you might be like, well, old might have happened.
Yeah,
might have got him. Then he got hit in the eye on something they called, and he went down and acted like he lost his eye and he needed an eye patch. Insufferable.
Tough. So I pulled up the yesterday's leaders tab at NBA.com just to see like a context of what we saw last night. Mark Williams had 15 offensive rebounds last night.
Menace.
That's fucking crazy. Again,
did they win?
They did win. It was against the Wizards, so again, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But 124, 124 or 115, 117 win for the Hornets. 27 for Gordon Hayward led the way. LaMelo Ball had 25, 6 and 6. But yeah, 21 points, 24 rebounds for Mark Williams. 15 offensive boards is crazy. And I'll give them credit. They won by 7 when they shot 21% from deep. So they did a lot of things well. They brought it back.
120 points.
Yeah.
Wizards bad is what that says.
Yeah, they made 50 shots and only made 6 threes. And this is where Mark Williams' 15 offensive rebounds came into play. The Hornets finished with 28 offensive boards on the night. The Wizards took 88 shots and the Hornets took 110.
I find myself sneaky rooting for the Hornets. I don't think there's room for them this year, but I kind of would like to see them at least be a little bit less of a rollover team every time somebody plays them. You know what I'm saying?
I will root for them so long as Miles Bridges is not on the team. And then I'm not going to root for them anymore. But yeah, Mark Williams, that's nuts. Luka we're going to talk about the Clippers in a bit, but he just fucking dismantled them. He's just like, get the fuck out of here. He hit him with the Jordan shrug at one point too, which is nuts. Boy. Giannis got ejected on a really bogus call. Did you see that?
That wasn't yesterday, but that was bullshit.
2 nights ago. Yeah. He like, what did he do? He like pointed at somebody or he like he did too small. Yeah, and then he did the too small.
I think he might have just like flexed or stared someone down.
I think he did the too small. He did some sort of like basic taunt and they ejected him. They gave him his second tech. Like, that's so fucking lame. Like that's so
Why don't they worry about the flopping?
The refs have been so egregious this year. Kristaps is getting some crazy techs too.
Yeah, Kristaps 6 techs already.
Bad refs. Rockets good at basketball. Like they're doing some cool stuff.
Back.
Yeah, they have like
who have they beaten though? Let's see. They beat the Kings twice.
They beat the Pelicans last night.
Pelicans, Lakers, but there's another team in there that was like not that impressive. They might have a nice stretch.
I can check right here. They have beaten. They're 5-3. They beat the Hornets, the Kings twice, the Lakers, and then the Pelicans.
And then they have Denver on Sunday. So get ready to lose again.
They have a tough stretch. Denver, Denver, Clippers, Lakers, Warriors, Grizzlies, Mavericks, Denver again, and then Lakers again.
It's time to be like it's like, remember, you're not that good.
Yeah, they've got a big test in front of them. But their guys are playing well. Ime's got them locked in. Jalen Green's averaging 20 points on much more efficient shooting, which is what you wanted to see from him. Alperen Şengün looks really good.
He's doing dunks.
Yeah, good for him.
Şengün is like the last guy in the NBA you would ever expect to like be dunking. Maybe Payton Pritchard first, but besides that, he looks like Georges Niang. Like they're the same guy, pretty much.
Yeah. Brooks and Van Vliet are fine. Van Vliet's not shooting particularly well, but he's averaging 8 assists, and he's doing stuff out there, I suppose. For what it's worth. They're winning games though, and they have a good plus minus on the season. I know that. I'm pretty sure they have a plus 44 plus minus.
They murdered the Lakers,
which is 6th in the league still. I mean, it puts them in line with like the Warriors, Mavericks, Pacers, Timberwolves. So good for them.
Yep.
What else?
Primed for a decent season. I just thought they screwed up free agency, which they still might have, but I thought they did well in the draft. But in entering free agency, I was excited. I was like, I wonder what they'll do.
Yeah, agree. Timberwolves are real. They're playing well. Good for them. Warriors also good this year. We kind of knew that. Jazz really bad this year. Grizzlies really bad this year.
Grizzlies unlucky.
Did you see Taylor Jenkins' rant last night?
Yeah, he said it was like the worst officiating he's ever seen.
And then someone who covered the Jazz retweeted it and said, "Yeah, this is kind of true." So that's when you know it's like not good.
How far into the season does Memphis have to get before it's like, maybe we tank?
I don't know if they tank, but
what, 9 games in, 1-8?
I think they could struggle to get into the play-in because of this. Like this is bad.
Well, that's no joke. You can't get away with this. You have a point.
That's what I'm saying. And like, excuse me, I know the Lakers did start 2-10 last year. They made the Western Conference Finals, but like a lot of this is, yes, Ja will help when he comes back, but he still doesn't have Steven Adams. He's still not going to have Brandon Clark for a long part of the season. Like, this is not going well. They just don't have any offense right now. And so it's tough for them. Spurs have fallen off a cliff a little bit. They're just not putting it together right now. They're getting blown out a lot. The Bulls still suck. Shocker. Pistons can't catch a break. They're 2-8.
The top story on Hoops Hype is people are monitoring the Bulls.
Yeah, Brian Windhorst went on NBA Today and said, "Yeah, scouts are going to a lot of Bulls games, just waiting to see."
It's like, who's it going to be?
I will say, what's crazy about the Bulls, as somebody who has to cover this team painfully, their plus minuses scream, "Wow, these stars stink." And so credit to you. Like the Bulls as a team, let me pull this up. As a team on the season, the Bulls obviously have a bad plus minus because they're one of the worst teams in the league. They have a plus minus of minus 45 on the season, right? DeMar DeRozan's plus minus 77. Nikola Vucevic minus 53. Zach LaVine minus 49. Torrey Craig minus 53. Kobe White minus 24. Alex Caruso plus 18.
Alex Caruso, man, he's going to go help somebody, and I don't know if it's going to be the Celtics.
Andre Drummond, plus 16. Patrick Williams, plus 16. Dosunmu, plus 15. They're bench. Good. Bench good.
Well, at least a lot of those guys you named are actually like under contract for a little while. Like if you're a Bulls fan, which I don't know how you found us, but if you are a Bulls fan and you want something to be excited about, you just extended Pat Williams, or is he due?
He's due.
Okay, well he's going to get one because there's no reason not to, I don't think. Dosunmu just got a new contract.
Patrick Williams has been okay since he went to the bench, but before that he was horrible. He's shooting 32% from the field and 23% from deep, averaging 6, 3, and 1.
It's like a small scale Julius Randle.
The only reason his plus minus has gone up is because he's been playing on the bench with Alex Caruso. Before that, he was just as bad. Yeah, Bulls. And he wants like 25 plus mil a year. Like it's.
I wonder if they're terrible start or just terrible like ability is because they have a lot of ball stoppers. Like DeRozan's great, and he's going to probably help some team that's going to be a competitive team because he can create and be a bucket getter if they need it. But he needs the ball a lot to create. Vucevic is a decent post player, so that requires the ball. And then Levine loves a shot. So
He does love a shot.
I'm not sure how great the ball. Listen, I haven't watched the Bulls, but I don't know.
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah, agree. Hawks are still good. Jalen Johnson continues to be awesome. He's averaging 15, 9, and 2.5 now. Shooting 60% from the field and 35 from deep. Like he's really good. Shout out him. Trae Young's still inefficient, but he's averaging like 10 assists a night and they're winning games. So there's only so much you can complain about. The Pacers have the best offense in the league. Tyrese Halliburton's averaging 23.5 and 11.5. It's kind of fucking crazy.
And he was hurt for at least one of their losses. When they played the Celtics,
Yeah.
He was out.
Yeah, and so they're 6-2 with him in the lineup, and he's shooting 50, 40, 90 right now. He's only taking 16 shots a game. He's taking 16 shots a game, and he's averaging 23 and 12.
Love that.
He's
That's what I look at the Celtics, and I'm like, I used to dream about players like this. But Tatum's good enough.
If the Pacers continue to be like this high level of a team, which I think they'll probably fall off at some point, just because he could be in MVP conversations. Genuinely averaging 24 and 11 on like a top 3 team. Like he's I wonder where Basketball Reference does the MVP predictions, right? I wonder where.
Yeah, but their MVP stuff's weird. It's not like it's like Kristaps and Jrue Holiday. I think it's based on like team success plus minus.
I know it is, but I'm saying like Halliburton's probably he's 5th in that right now, and ahead of him is Jokic, Embiid, Doncic, Maxey, Halliburton, Tatum, and then it is Edwards, Curry, Tobias Harris, Alper, and Shingu.
He's with the elite.
There's the context, but he's up there is the point I'm making. But anything else around the league that we missed that you might want to talk about? I mean, as much as it sucks, like Sixers really good.
Cavs kind of bad.
Cavs kind of bad. Sixers really good. As much as I still want the Sixers to fail, obviously, always, I find myself hating them less with Harden not there. You know what I'm saying? I like,
dude. If they weren't a traditional rival, like I like Embiid, Maxey's not annoying. Like, well, Nick Nurse
fine
is
with Harris.
Actually.
Yeah, Nick Nurse is
Nick Nurse is the worst.
I forgot about that.
I hate that guy with a passion. Like I've never met him. Like people say he's a good guy. I don't want to hear it.
Agree, but their players, like I like all their players. Like I have nothing against the players anymore. So it's
just out there catching flies.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. Let's jump into the next thing. Clippers with James Harden 0-3.
Bad. James Harden bad. James Harden. I mean, you got to give KD credit, right? With him and Kyrie on the team, they almost beat the Bucks.
Special.
Yeah,
special.
That's let's see.
Tough.
Now 0-3. The Mavs TV broadcast man murdered.
Oh yeah,
on live TV. Like it was. If you've ever seen the Super Hot Fire videos, but by a Southern white man, and not in the way you would think.
He was like. He literally started by goes, I told my producer to pipe this into the Clippers locker room. And then he just goes, you're a fucking loser. I've never loved anybody as much as Daryl Morey loves you. Yeah. He said, you want Dwight Howard? Fine. When you wanted him gone, you got rid of him. You wanted Chris Paul? Fine. You got rid of him when you were done. Same with Russell Westbrook. Then you went to Brooklyn because you wanted to go to New York. And then you fucking moved your way out of there. He just was like popping off. And then at the end, he goes,
highlighted all the failures and all the extra steps that teams have taken to make him happy.
He hit him with a mic drop at the end. He goes, "You're not the system. You're a problem." Just
mic
drops on him.
How bad would it be if you broke your mic?
Yeah, so it was a risk I was willing to take. No, it was electric,
calculated risk. But if you haven't seen the video, it's on Twitter. It's one of the most incredible just roasts. Had him on the rotisserie. Everything he said was pretty accurate.
Had him on the rotisserie is fire.
Yeah.
James Harden in 3 games with the Clippers is a -39. Not what you want to see. They have gotten blown out, so it's not completely his fault. Like they're just losing. So it's like, well, That's not to say it's not his fault, but like obviously the other guys would have better plus minuses because they've played longer. But Harden he's been like individually he's been okay. Like he is per game he is averaging. Sorry, I lost it here. He's averaging 14 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 54-15. He's only taken 8 shots a night in 3 games.
14, 5 and 5. Oof.
I mean, granted,
For
he's shooting
Harden.
efficiently. He's shooting efficiently. He's only and he's playing 32 minutes a night, so he is like passing the ball, being fine. But 0-3 is not the start you wanted in the James Harden era.
You know, I sit here and I feel like Thanos after he did the snap because the Clippers wronged me in June when they said we don't want Malcolm Brogdon. You're going to have to trade Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
Who's laughing? Certainly not Marcus.
No,
that's for sure.
Poor guy. Yeah,
They
Clippers
can
bad.
get fucked.
You know who else is bad, Sam?
I've known longer than everybody who else is bad. Julius Randle.
Julius Randle. He responded. What was the question he was asked to prompt us? Do you know?
I think this was in response to being asked how he thinks his surgery has affected his play so far this season. Julius Randle, by the way, back-to-back double-doubles with points in the 20s and actually not terrible shooting.
Okay.
16.5 average now on 36-25. So still terrible.
He said to Fred Katz of The Athletic,
who's also a fan of Incognito.
Really?
Yes.
Good.
That was told to us.
Oh, yes. Julius Randle said, to think that I would come into the season and just be Julius off the bat is kind of naive. I'm just thankful for guys like RJ, guys like Jaylen. They've been able to carry the load while I get back. To that, I respond, you kind of have been, Julius, to start the season. What do you mean? What are you talking about, sir? You've been exactly what you're advertised to be.
Yeah.
Tough. Yeah, Julius Randle, bad. Knicks mid too, right? They're 4-4.
Good.
Not great.
But the league's better when the Knicks are good. Shut up.
Brunson and Barrett have been playing really well though. Julius Randle, bad. Manu quickly, fine. Just meh. It's just like kind of meh all around. That's kind of just what the Knicks are. They're gonna be a good playoff team, and that's probably the peak, right? Maybe they went around. Maybe they get spicy and beat the team again, but that's
maybe they'll be bad. Unfortunately, Pistons bad.
Yeah, I know.
Hurts my soul. I know the old heads probably love it, but I don't know, man. The Pistons are they're better. The league is more fun when they're better.
Killian Hayes still starting.
Jaden Ivey's sick.
Yeah, and people are conspiracizing. Is that the word?
Monty was like, Cade also sick, and he's not being a bitch. It's pretty much what Monty Williams said.
That's kind of fire. Good for him. Anyways, we can jump into the rat list here. This is gonna be a long episode already because we have still got the Raptors thing to pump out for y'all. Would you like to kick it off, or do you want me to start?
You can actually. I'll kick it off.
All right, hit it.
Rat list, my friends. Rat list, my friends.
Which friends? Do we get name drops?
All of them.
Oh no!
So, you know this. I am going away today. I will not be home until Monday the 20th. It's going to be a little while. Thursday, no Celtics game. No recording from us. Only 10 minutes, whatever we did. The Embiid foot on the line video. And I was like, hey, as you guys usually do on Thursdays, we should all go out, get wings, buy one, get one. Crickets in the chat.
Oh, no.
And then the next day, talking about my trip. They're like, oh, we're bad friends because it was our last time to see you. And I was like, yeah, no shit. But I wasn't going to guilt you into trying to go and be like, well, you guys should come out. I'm not going to be here. Because then you don't really – everybody wants to play COD. You gotta stay up till midnight to play Call of Duty.
Is Call of Duty new? Is there a new one?
New one came out yesterday.
Gotcha.
I can't imagine calling off plans to play a video game, staying up till midnight to play a video game. You got to be a real scumbag, low-life piece of shit, dude. I swear it'd blow off your friends for that.
Yeah, I would hate just calling off all responsibilities to play a game for 24 hours. What a loser. Couldn't be me. No, that's a rap move though. You gotta see your boys before you leave. Respect. I'm gonna rat list a specific Hinge prompt. So that is the only dating app I have now. The other ones are cesspools.
It is the best.
It's still
That's
bad.
where I met the lady who's lovely.
Yeah, it's still bad. All dating apps are bad. But there's this one prompt that is first round is on me if. And listen, I'm always going to offer to buy the first, dinner, whatever it is, right? I feel like that's a nice thing to do. I don't necessarily believe in the whole like, oh, it's the man's job, whatever. I just think, okay, this is the first date. I'm going to be a kind human being.
It sounds like you don't believe it's a man's job. You would actually like to be paid for.
You're a piece of shit.
Not very chivalrous of you, Jack. No wonder you're on the.
Well, no, I will.
Wait.
Fuck you. No, I'll always offer to pay because that is how I grew up, like thinking, okay, this is just the kind thing to do. I'll offer, it's fine. Far too many people have the response to that. Far too many girls for first round is on me if their response is the first round will never be on me. That's an immediate X. That's immediate. I'm not gonna see you. Like it's just like that is like
goes without say. Just don't pick the prompt.
Yeah, right. Just like, well,
you're not forced to pick these prompts for people that have not used the app, that have never had to go through that hell of using dating apps.
So my mindset is, if you went through the trouble of picking that and then writing that, probably don't want to be around you. Probably don't want to be friends with you because you're probably an asshole. Like,
no. I think you're right too. Like, you cannot take a girl out and be like, you paying?
No, of course you have to offer.
Not if you want a second date.
But the correct interaction in my mind is either, oh, I got it, and they're like, oh, thank you so much, I appreciate it, or or they offer to split it, right? You have to at least be like, oh,
empty gesture of offering.
Exactly. It's not damn right you're paying. Like that's not the energy. You know what I'm saying? That's not the energy you want from somebody you're seeing. So that's the rat list. People who pick that just to say, yeah, fuck you, you're paying. Okay, then I don't want to go out with you if that's the energy you're going to be bringing. So that's the rat list for me.
I gotta do an anti-rat list. Anti-rat list is Worth, who's being a gem. A friend of ours is making sure Jack gets the share of his Impopnito. We each got 10 of these bags, all different flavors to try and enjoy. And Jack's box of popcorn will be delivered to him tomorrow.
Hell yeah. Love to see it. Shout out Worth. What a beast.
Yeah.
Appreciate him. All right. My next one is a driver. Shocker. Jack Ratliff is somebody on the road. So I was driving into the Garden. I was on the highway. I am in the right lane, the second lane from the far right. Somebody from the far left lane, 3-lane highway, jerks over and cuts right in front of me. Like this was not a place you should have merged. I was like cruising. I was going at good speed. They just cut right in front of me to the point where I have to like brake on the highway, which you shouldn't have to brake on the highway unless there's traffic.
Should never have to brake on the highway.
Right? So they cut in front of me. I'm mad. I go into the far lane to pass them. And as I am, I see them putting their blinker on, trying to go in between two cars in the far right lane where there is like very clearly not enough space. And in my head, I'm just thinking this person's like legitimately going to cause an accident. Like it was bad. And so I sped by them and I see behind me and there's like a whole bunch of stopping and honking. I'm like, people just need to learn like how to drive. This is bad. It was frustrating. And also ratless people who like go the perfect speed in the middle lane to where they're going too slow where I want to drive faster, but they're not going fast enough where I can effectively pass them without going too fast.
Yes.
Pick a correct speed. Going 70 helps nobody. Go 75, right? Go an okay speed where I am cool riding behind you or where I can not have to speed up, obscenely to pass you in the middle lane, right? Or just if you're going to go slow, go in the right lane. Or especially, rat list, people who drive the same speed in the left lane as the people in the middle lane. That is the passing lane.
You can't wall up.
The wall up is the worst. Yeah. So people are getting me tight at 1 a.m. on the highway. I was getting angry.
At 1 a.m., there should be no issue on the road, by the way.
They made a wall at 1 a.m. There was like 4 cars in the whole fucking highway, and they made a wall. I was so mad. I just
Tank
wanted to
breaks
go
the
home.
wall.
I was telling Sam I was up so late editing last night, and I couldn't get home. I was angry.
So, Ratless, my mom.
Oh no.
My mom has taken an interest in the Celtics this year, and I get a text yesterday, and she says, "Would you like to guess what she said?"
Is this what you texted me? She said.
Oh yeah, I forgot I told you about this.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
she
yeah,
said,
yeah.
"No guess. This doesn't count." She goes, "I like the floor," and I said, "Oh no." I said, "The floor is terrible."
Disaster.
And she said, "I think it looks great. Is it still wood?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Yes." Let's see. Did she say anything else after that? Because that's what I said.
Oh no.
She just goes, "Yes, I like it."
Oh dear.
So this extends past my mom.
Oh no.
Ratless to anybody that is saying good things about the court. And also, Ratless the NBA. We didn't get to talk about this on the show, I don't think. We did on the pregame when I first found out. But the Celtics reached out to the NBA and they were like, "Hey, can we do parquet down the middle?" And they were like, "No." Why? You're subjecting them to this hacky marketing tactic anyway. At least let them have some creativity with it. Isn't that what you want? The courts and stuff to have meaning to the city. That's the whole purpose of the uniforms. Why won't you let them do it? That would rule. That would at least make it at least like, okay, like I can see what you're doing. Okay, respect.
Yeah, agree. You
Silver
and Jay
will pay
King
for his
are
crimes.
you and Jay King handshake. Jay King hates the court.
He should. Everybody should. And everybody should be complaining about it. Let him
Yeah.
know it's not okay.
Yeah.
Better speak up on what you stand for. Unless you like the court, then shut up.
What else do I got? What else do I got? I'm trying to think. I haven't had.
That was my closer.
I don't know. I mean, it's been a pretty lax couple days since the last time we did a rat list. I mean, I've just been working and going into the garden. There hasn't been too much. Like the roads thing was my big. What I was mad at. The hinge prompt was obviously something as well.
Any interesting exchanges
at the garden?
No, on Hinge.
Oh, on Hinge? Fuck no. Well, I was a week ago. I was drunk and I just deleted my entire Hinge profile, and I just like reset everything. So I've like been not using it as much, but I go on every once in a while, and half the fucking prompts I see are that stupid one. People are terrible at prompts on Hinge though, and before you're like, "Oh well, Jack, what'd you write?" I got approval. Sam's girlfriend approved, said my Hinge profile was fine, so it's not me. I'm not a hypocrite. The bar is the floor.
Frank is the goat of dating apps, by the way.
What's your definition of the goat?
He's got the best screenshots I've ever seen of just being a dickhead.
Maybe
which Kayla is not a fan of. She is none too pleased.
Let's call it the woat, the worst of all time. I don't know if great is. Fucking Frank. We're ratless dots. We didn't put fucking Matt on the screen the entire fucking time. Yeah, that's bad luck for us. That's a tech. Our bad. Hand up. Sorry. No Matt. That's bad. And the worst part is I think we're done now. I don't have anything else. That's all I got.
We're done.
Well, thank y'all for tuning in regardless. We appreciate you guys. We'll leave Matt on the screen a little longer this time because you guys didn't get to see him. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to comment what's popping on the YouTube so you can be entered to win some Incognito popcorn.
You don't want to miss it. It's a great product. We would not be doing it if we didn't like it. We reached out to them because we were literally like, this stuff rules.
We do like it. So check that out. Comment what's popping. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics. Leave us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Hey, thank you very much for listening or watching. Make sure, if you're on YouTube, to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a like and comment. Say what's popping. Enter yourself in the contest, right? You don't want to miss any of our stuff. We're putting up daily videos. We're doing streams pre-game, before the games. Those are a blast. We were dying laughing yesterday with the listeners. It was a great time. Make sure you come stop by. You can find us on Spotify and Apple if you want just the audio version of the podcast, as well as game recaps. Those will be uploaded there too. You can leave us a follow, say something nice, 5-star review. You can find us on socials at How About Them C's. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Facebook is just the name of the podcast. Good growth there. So join the community. Streams will be there too. So if you're scrolling through Facebook and you want to watch us, listen to us pregame, we'll be there. Playback, you can still follow us on Playback. We want to do that. It's just they're not really letting us. We can all hang out and watch a black screen if we do Playback. Get it together, Playback. You can follow Jack on Twitter at Jack Simone NBA. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.
Tic-tac-toe.